Oh, yeah.
Okay, click the stream, so I'll start with the TVs for the overflow rooms.
We saved the baby's for She was like, sorry, you have a baby squirrel. Brains of what to do.
First impression.
Did you get the 50 letters for the one thing again? And we got another 15 sent to me today and 50 that were in the packet.
Letters.
Oh,
That's the one on Hudson. That wouldn't have been here if I hadn't voted to reconsider it. Well, I hope they're actable. I mean, I can't change, but it's not actable. I mean, they had none of these letters. First, they had no letters of support. They had no good neighbor agreement. They had no trash. They had no, what they were doing with trash, because they had no room on their property for garbage cans, garbage bins. So I mean, it was a train wreck.
Yeah, I wonder why. This world.
So,
It's a. That's fine.
I think it might be the hottest day of the year so far, too.
It's terrible. It's so hot.
I can never be.
I'll never move in the summer again.
You never wet in the summer?
I'll never move in the summer again. And
Where are you moving?
oh, I bought a house, so,
Oh, where at?
Clintonville.
Surprised you found one, but you probably paid 200,000 more than you should.
Well, not that much, but yeah, I went over. I went to the same grad program as the seller though, so I think that probably helped me. I thought it was OSU's weekend there.
Oh, High Street,
We got a good ball.
High Street was a zoo this weekend. I mean, I didn't even try to get close to it. That's how much of a zoo it was. Then that big thing was driving down High Street to campus, that big engine that had all High Street blocked, and they blocked it off starting Sunday morning.
Oh, they did that. I don't know how to get a generator into the city.
That's what I'm saying. It's a generator day.
They actually had to take the street lights.
As the street lights down, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have posting photos. How are you? Good. You went to that fiasco in South Dakota, didn't you?
Wonderful. I got tested when I got up.
You have a shot? Okay.
Oh, yeah. And I had COVID last year. So I'm good, hopefully.
Yeah, I saw your pictures.
I haven't gone through all of mine yet and posted them. I put a few of them.
I didn't stay, when I was driving home from Oregon, I stayed in Mitchell with a corn.
Oh, did you? Did you go to the Corn Palace?
Yeah, I drove by it. I've been there before as a kid, but we went, we drove around it, walked around it. I stayed there, it wasn't too far from Sturgis, is it?
No, it's a lot of, it's a couple hundred, I think it's a couple hundred miles. Yeah.
Sturgis is right around Rushmore.
Yes, yes. We went and, zip lined over by Mount Rushmore. But we went, actually did went inside at Crazy Horse and did watched the movie and all that.
Oh, did you?
Went into Rushmore too.
David, how are you? Drink all that wine from the other day already?
Oh, yes.
Did you drink it all already?
I think it's one bottle left.
Yeah, we got through it.
Hey, there. I feel strange being, well, I was just here this morning, so.
Oh, wait.
Downtown.
Downtown Commission. So on the actual screen, it's showing third screen.
Technology, we're trying to work together.
It is really a lot. Happens with that. Yeah.
Oh, you did bake for him? Yeah. Not a bad thing. Thanks for it. Oh.
I'm not for.
I told him just, people be thankful. He's getting all these words.
Yeah, that's one great. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Those Eric Jones in here?
Yeah, told me, yeah, he's coming. Yeah, I think we got all five. No, I think $3,000 this one.
Hey, I would have done last month, but you're doing remote, so not through.
What was that?
I said I would have done last month, but you guys weren't doing remote.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you had wine, so you're in a rush.
Well, I had to, only nine cases. Loaded and unloaded that every night, hotel room. Oh my God. It was keeping the car like.
Oh, yeah.
It was so hot. So I had to unload it, took three different cars, I rolled the car off, down 3 times, load all the wine in the room. It took literally almost a third of the hotel room was wine boxes. One manager, the one hotel was staying at some. Is there a party tonight? I don't know about it, but it's just off first of the sun.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, you're-
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean said that.
All of
I'm very
them
interested.
are moved. So we're like, oh, we're just too busy. So now we're going.
Sure.
Because John,
Yeah, I ate.
That's what I'm afraid of. If you got
used to do taping next door to me.
That
And
happens.
I did at least 1 or 2.
Well, two of them are
Yeah.
the triplexes, they're the.
You know, everyone
cells.
else
Just
can
in
have
two
one.
different areas. And the guy was like, well, he's out of town for the area.
It's still teaming up good.
Just moving a little.
The LE, no, it's not.
Yeah, that works.
That's fine.
Good done. Both work.
Okay. Just sent it to you.
Yeah, mine's just been very.
That one's holding up. Okay. You know it's too.
A lot of the area commissions are out. Well, that's what, Tyler Grogan does not do a meeting,
Okay.
which was fine for my case. For me, getting a September.
I thought about 20 to.
Texas.
Yeah. Mima is coming. She's bringing, my buddies who's a ex-wife, and he is both the realm and, Tiffany. He's coming in for a tasting on October the 8th. Over the wine market. On the 5th.
So what is?
I mean, it's a storage area, but the ground floor is temperature and humidity controlled wine locker. So I have a wine locker, I have a, 10 foot by, was it 3 feet tall wine locker, and I got, they can do whatever they want, 89 bottles of wine in there.
You're going for a tasting?
No.
Is there-
There's a rec room. It's a room for people that have wine locker, they do room number one. And it has 2 big screen TVs, it has, all the glasses and plates, stuff you need, and it's room to have tasting. And see there. And so we'll have it there. No, it's still good like bread.
Generally.
Want to spread out a little bit? Up to you. Typically sit right there. It's what you saw. You're.
Oh, you're good.
Well, there was two. One guy was.
It's in the front, I think it's in the
Kroger, and the second one was.
Water, 5 seconds.
Just keep water out your mouth.
Yeah. They did what?
I just, that downtown area commissioner, all the morning, and everybody comes back, and all that.
That's what I hear.
Do you want this?
Do this back in our office again.
I don't need much. Yeah, I'm
large.
Yeah, that's, but if I'm in my office, I take it off.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
what I did.
hall trying to be on that.
My office from here to the kitchen was nice. That's why everyone goes to the kitchen. The mask.
We can't take it off, then I'll sit down here for you.
This is where?
Since the sign on the door.
Oh, I didn't read it.
16.
Well, the board members, this is our new city attorney, Adam.
Yeah.
He's taking over for.
Yeah, no, I want to tie on you. We never find it.
Well, I want you here, we were on that. So, you'll be advising for the appeal.
Oh, for the appeal. Okay.
Yep. Did you get my email about that?
I, you sent it to me on.
Yeah, just kind of give you a quick cliff notes about,
Let's just send a recent.
yeah, like 3.
Oh, I had to come to the doctor. Right.
Okay. Cool.
I'm going to sort of clean up 2 weeks title.
Yeah, I did too. Oh, yeah. If you can find your side, I was like, hey, like, you guys have some more product that you're gonna be getting out here, like, there's nothing in my.
And all that fun.
Chinos. They haven't had a wide selection, without going. Did you get my email today? Okay. No, it's okay. I sent it to you and Jamie. But we'll talk afterward. I don't think you did it. It came back, but I don't know why.
Oh,
And did Michael print out whatever he sent? I didn't print whatever. Okay.
and we got.
I looked at them,
Okay.
but they were all saying the same thing,
Pretty
so.
much. Well, there's some in support and some in not.
Oh, I didn't see the not performance. I guess I skimmed too quick.
Yeah.
That's probably good for him to print things. I'm not printing anything.
If you want to read it, this is what he's ever said. Last few. Got all that stuff. I didn't print out all the letters on that. When you put.
So what's the level now? You're saying over 60? Even if you're vaccinated?
Yeah.
Hell, I'm not. Well, I'm okay staying. I was saying, you know, we want to go back and.
That's what I'm saying. This can't work. We're talking and.
Yeah. I don't know why we would have.
It's a weird type of approach because. City candidate. And the city can't. Virtual, you have to stay on.
Why can't they?
We've been
Up until.
As far as
Oh,
what?
you're saying it was allowed because of the state mandate?
Yeah, the state mandate required them to get on this mask.
And the virtual aspect of it.
Thanks for working.
Inspire, you all to come back in person.
So what prevents that? What prevents the city from doing it?
State trips. That for the state.
Even, you're talking about my. Gotcha.
Oh, okay, public.
The additional.
Excuse me.
Eric says he's on his way, his office isn't too far from here.
Well, we don't need him.
I know, I'm just saying, it's technically.
Thank you. I don't want to wait. Is this the right date? 24. It's
No, if it's wrong, just cross it out.
Are you ready?
No. Hold on, hold on.
Finally triggered. They don't think they can. That goes there. That, there's like a main position.
Okay. We're gonna call to order the August 24th, 2021 meeting of the Board of Zoning Adjustment. I must admit, I've never had to work and speak in a mask. So, say up front, I don't like it. We will get through it. This is not a political statement, but please get vaccination. Okay, if you have not been here before, how we usually run these meetings is we have two types of cases. The first one is appeals, and we will hear from the city and the appellant on their case. Other individuals are not allowed to give testimony. Then we will move into the variance requests, and I will call those in order. We will hear from the city first, and then the applicant has 3 minutes to talk. Has 5 minutes to talk. If there are others here to give testimony in support or objection to that application, we will call on you, and you will come forward and you have 3 minutes. If you are the applicant and you are trying to get the Duncan factors in the record, you must do that within your 5-minute time allowed. If you're planning on speaking, when you come up, I don't see a sign-in sheet. You know, sign-in sheet? No sign-in sheet. You will state your name, and then you will state that you have already been sworn in. And I will swear you in as a group right now so that we can eliminate that time crunch. We can eliminate that time delay when it occurs. So if you're planning on speaking tonight, please stand, raise your right hand. I think everybody should be standing unless you're here to just observe. I promise that the testimony tonight will be the truth, nothing but the truth. Please say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Once you are, if you are here as a additional testimony, you're only allowed one time at the microphone. You don't get to ask questions of anyone else. You just get to make your statements. Please try to have your thoughts organized so that we hear what you have to say. So with that said, if we have any preliminary matters to get off the agenda.
I'm gonna put this notebook up here if people could sign in with this one.
Oh, okay, so we do have a sign in. Use your own pen so you don't have a COVID issue, please.
Madam Chair, we have two preliminary matters. First is a extension request for a board order that will be expiring within the year. And that is for BZA 20-046, 395, 397 Crestview.
Okay,
Whoever is requesting the extension, please come on.
oh, okay. Please come up, ma'am.
All right, this is my first time.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, have a seat. So your name for the record?
Yeah, my name is Savannah Anderson. I'm the business partner.
Okay, and your, state your request?
Yeah, so we,
Oh,
Sorry,
are you connected to this?
sorry, yes, David Hott, attorney for the applicant.
Okay. Can you promise that the testimony you give tonight, the truth? Please say I do.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, I walked in a little bit late here. Has the staff report already been given?
So,
That extension, so there's no staff report. You said state why you're extending, making a request to extend the board.
We are making a request to extend the board order because we need some additional time to secure site compliance, and I didn't think we were gonna do this.
yeah, so, well, and we originally, when we had the approval, it was before COVID times. And obviously when COVID this past year, we weren't able to secure building materials, have access to those who would be able to start the process, and we're just getting started now.
okay,
Again, we're in the restaurant industry, so we got bit a little bit hard in the funding, also was in a hard place to challenge. We are getting started on the project now. I'm just going to get the go ahead to continue.
okay. So you want the extension until,
So for the next, how long are they good for about a year?
So the original issuance is good for a year, and, I mean, I know that you guys have been meeting with consultants, have been putting together, site compliance plans and things, so, you know, if the board would be so gracious as to grant us a year, that'll be plenty of time. I know, you know, based upon this original hearing, that there was some concern that this was going to happen, and it turns out you all were right and I was wrong. I thought that this would get done within a year, and it hasn't happened.
okay. Okay, request is made for a year. There would be nobody in the audience to speak on this, right? Because it was
Correct.
not on the notice. Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Accept it.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, are we not going to allow the extension? No one's going to second the motion? Okay, the motion has died. And I think that's
Yeah, there's no motion, so we can't vote on it.
right. So,
I'll second it.
motion seconded. Please call the roll.
Mr. Moore?
So we're voting on, I mean, I voted no on this originally, so I'm still voting no.
Okay.
Mr. Malika,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Willoughby,
I'm with, Mr. Demora. I also voted no on this initially, so I'll maintain my no vote.
Chair Paul Ewing.
Wow, I don't remember my vote on this, but if it
It must have
passed, then I'll say yes. Extension.
Thank you. I don't, we'll do our best not to use the year. I know they're underway, design consultants to pull permits, and hopefully this great project can get underway soon.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Then I had to look up this. Thank you.
Okay, any other preliminary matters?
And then one more,
Okay.
BZA 20-094, 242 Thurman Avenue. They were previously approved. The site plan was stamped, and they'd like to adjust the site plan. No new variances would be required. It's just a matter of, well, I'll let the applicant.
Okay, state your name for the record, please.
Eric Sherrill.
Okay.
The site plan needed to be adjusted. The addition on the home as we investigated during the construction document process, needed to move a few feet east in order to align some of roof elements. So the addition on the rear of the building moved 4 feet to the east.
Oh, I see, okay. And so by coming here, he's gonna get our acceptance and we will restamp it?
Yes, we'll stamp the new plan.
Okay. Do you have any questions for this applicant? Okay, is there,
I'm assuming this doesn't require any more.
Correct. If it required any new variances, they'd have to come back for a full application. This is just a matter of getting a new plan stamp.
so do we vote on that?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the new plan?
I make a motion to accept the new plan.
I'll second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Malenka,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
I think I voted no on it the first time, so I'm voting no again.
Mr. Welderly,
Yes.
Chair Palmer Manning.
Yes, we will stamp the new plan. Thank you.
Eric, you have a plan with you?
I actually didn't bring a plane.
Okay, I think Mike, you sent one of Michael out and print it out and bring it up.
Okay, all right,
Email it to him.
great, thank you. Thank you again.
Uh-huh. Okay, so we're ready for our appeal?
Yes.
Okay, so we have an appeal of 149 East 13th Avenue. Will
Okay. This is an appeal.
will the owner of 149 East 13th please come forward, as well as the city code enforcer?
Do they not mail those?
I don't see anyone coming forward. So I guess we will hear the city's case and we will decide,
Somebody on the hall.
or do we just forfeit?
Oh, yeah. Do you know who they are?
Do we have this file?
It's
an
appeal, this is appeal.
Oh, okay. Well, we still usually have the.
They give it to us on the spot.
uh,
Yeah, I don't remember. They hand us a packet, they walk through.
I know the evidentiary part, but I thought we still had a paper. Mr. Imhoff, I'm not rushing you, I'm sorry.
Well, I might as well.
So if the person is not here, then we don't really have an appeal, do we?
Thank you.
No, correct. I'd say, they have to be present to appeal.
Yeah,
I think put out a certified letter, email, and I believe they posted a notice.
I was incorrect on that.
Oh,
I don't believe we posted it.
okay. Well, they still had, they've received notice and, email.
and so at this point,
We did not.
My recommendation, so we can make a record.
okay, we make a record, but I'm just saying, we don't need to go through the whole finding. We will say that this matter came before us.
Yeah, please, no show.
By virtue of absent
Nice to meet you.
appellant, we will rule in default to uphold the violation.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so finding of fact, appellant,
We'll see you on this road. Sure. Anybody else want one? Just, I do not.
okay, finding of fact, appellant was not present for hearing.
Nor attorney.
Or- Good. Based on all the evidence, the board make the following order. The violation is upheld. Okay, can we vote on that, please?
I'll call the question.
Please call the roll.
So we're voting yes to deny or no to deny. I just want to make that clear.
The violation,
Holding.
we're upholding, so yes to uphold.
Yes to vote. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Welderly,
Yes.
Mr. Malenka,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Chair Palmer Manning.
Yes. Okay, I'm sending this around for signature. Okay, so we get into our, thank you, code enforcers, for being ready.
Show up.
Okay, case number 1, 20,
Saying goodbye, Adam.
oh, Case number 12355 Neil Avenue. Hello, sir. Please sign your name on the seat there. Do I need what?
We will, yes.
Oh, those are your exhibits? Yeah, you can pass those out.
And like they do.
Okay.
They can't look at, so.
Yeah.
It's their third.
Okay, ready for the city? Go ahead.
Right, 2355 Neal Avenue is located on the west side of Neal Avenue, approximately 110 feet southwest Patterson Avenue. The existing zoning is R2F residential district. The site consists of one parcel developed with a single unit dwelling and a detached garage in the rear yard. Surrounding the sites are single and multi-unit dwellings. The applicant proposes to convert the existing single unit dwelling to a 2-unit dwelling. Variances are requested to reduce the total side yard from 9 to 7.5 feet, reduce the minimum side yard from 5 feet to 2 feet, to reduce the required parking spaces from 4 to 1 space, reduce the required parking setback from 25 feet to 7.5 feet, and to allow a reconfiguration of the site to eliminate the detached garage and provide a 1-car parking space in the building setback. The University District Plan recommends that two-family housing should be compatible with nearby housing in terms of height, width, building materials, porches, architectural items, etc. And as the proposed plan and setbacks are compatible to nearby housing and the site is along public transit and on-street parking, planning supports this request. And the Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the University Area Commission recommends approval of this request. Staff can recommend approval of the variances requested to convert a single unit dwelling to a 2-unit dwelling as the request is consistent with the recommendations of the University District Plan. That's a lot of math.
I feel bad for our healthcare workers, for our central workers. This is brutal. Okay, sir?
Yes. I'm Daniel Fergelman, with architecture. And the reason we're requesting these variances is that the house is situated peculiarly on the site. And that begets most of our requested variances in that there is no compatible access to the rear of the property to allow parking. It's strange that there was a garage back there, but it doesn't meet all standards.
Okay, do we have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask this question a lot in the next several months. So you want to get your hardship is what? This is not a financial hardship. You're not asking for this only change for financial reasons. So why should we grant your variance when it's not hardship?
The continued pattern in the neighborhood is of multi-family, single-family homes are the dominant trait of the.
That's not a reason, that's not a hardship because other people around it are changing multi-family homes. You're doing this for a profit reason. That's not a hardship.
The building is actually pretty bad.
You could sell that and make, right now, I guarantee you $250,000 on that property by the house right now, easily. So you want to so you're just trying to increase your profit. Again, I don't see hardship. I voted no on the last 4 or 5 of these. I'm gonna continue to vote no on them until I see a hardship by splitting lots and asking for all these variances when there's no hardship involved. So lots.
So just to clarify, it's not a lot split, right?
No, it's not like,
Okay.
they're asking for 5 variances.
Okay.
It's also an allowable use. 2 families are allowed in this zoning classification.
They are allowed. If you can 4 people vote for you, that's fine, but I don't see a hardship, and I don't see a hardship in, I'm making a policy decision here. Unless you're gonna build affordable housing, I don't see making millions of dollars as a hardship. I'm sorry.
would state that this is affordable housing. I mean, it's not subsidized housing, but it is.
You're gonna make two apartments, they're gonna charge $2,500 a month for each of them? I don't consider that affordable housing.
I have a question, and I'm curious, at the roof line, it looks like you have a chimney that only clears the roof by 8 inches.
Uh,
I'm wrong.
there's no chimney.
Is this one right?
No. I don't know what else we do.
Or removing this chimney, but leaving brick.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, where do you see that?
Is this Neil Avenue?
Yeah.
Right
You talking
here.
about the dormer?
No, it's the chimney.
Oh, right.
I thought that there would be I'm like, where's the chimney going? It seems like it should be more than 8 inches above the roof line, so if there's no chimney, I get it, you're just keeping the brick.
Yes.
I guess my only question would be, the thought of one parking space for these 2 units, it's in the university area district. I mean, what did they have? Obviously, they voted yes, but it's sort of unusual. They're usually pushing for more parking than less, so. And were you there for the discussions on that, or are they just?
There was very little discussion on parking. There are other parking resources close to this particular property.
I would say, based on, it makes a lot of sense. There's conventional wisdom that suggests in this location, a lot's going to be walkable. People may not even have cars. So I think in a different location, while I know parking is tight there, I think it's very practical to see that somebody's probably not even going to have a vehicle.
Yeah, but I'm with Mr. Lewis.
Jamie, will you pull up the aerial?
Right, that's what I'm saying. They have some conventional wisdom is maybe.
Because this is gonna be 6 bedrooms total, is that what I'm looking at?
Yes.
6 bedrooms,
6 bedrooms, 1 car.
1 car?
And I guarantee you there's never place parked there when they're in, so if college, if I take on student, on Canada.
Front lawn, they could park there. And charge them.
Yeah.
I know, but what I'm saying is
Actually, very.
So my question is to the property to, I think it's the east, but we have at least 3 cars parked there and then it's parked on lots and looks like it could park 3 or 4 cars. What is that property?
It's an adjacent property owned by the same company.
So are all
Managed
those,
by the same company.
are all those spots for that unit or those units to the, what I'm gonna call east, but I could be turned around, so.
I believe they're shared.
So anybody in the blue area could utilize those spaces as well.
I'm not
That looks
certain.
like a driveway.
But it's dark.
So I see those.
He
two
should know if
cars,
that's a
these
driveway
two
that
cars,
belongs to the other house.
for the rear.
Where that one car is the driveway to the other property.
Right.
What are these long lanes for those?
That's for adjacent property there.
It looks like stack parking.
Yeah, so it's
Stack
tandem, stack
But
parking.
then it looks like there's the, I guess barn or garage. right
There's
there.
quite a bit of grade change between that one car garage.
Yeah.
Shed and the parking below. There you go. There's the other retaining wall there.
That's helpful.
But arguably, you're saying it's the same owner?
No, it's not, it's managed by the same company.
Oh, okay.
Is anybody here to speak about this application? Are there any more questions for the applicant?
Not as much as another staff question, just, the parking in the front yard. Normally, you're allowed, what, 1 space?
For a single car garage, you're allowed to stack space. Just be 1 space in front of the building setback, parking setback.
But the strange part is that, you can't get back to the existing garage.
They're gonna eliminate the garage.
I know, there's only 6 feet between the existing building. If I'm reading this right, 6 feet between the existing building and the property line.
6 feet.
So you couldn't get back there anyway, right?
Not legally.
So this thing hasn't been parked at all, as it is. Is it right now a single-family residence, or is it fallback?
It's single.
Yeah, of course, Mr. Campbell.
Used as a rental.
Does this property manager typically rent to students?
Yes.
But I think Mr. Maleka raises a good point. He couldn't get to, from this diagram, you couldn't get to that garage to park no matter what.
No.
No.
That's kind of a hardship.
I was hoping Mr. Demora.
He's not gonna get there.
He's not getting there, that's
As
all.
much of a hardship as that is, he's not getting there.
I think that's your argument, is that you can't get to the garage.
At some point, someone had to get the garage, they wouldn't build it otherwise.
Well, I think they closed in around it.
Yeah, and the grade, I mean, they
Yeah.
probably had access to that adjacent lot at some point.
And then Bill gave him a variance for that other part.
Bill- He gave a variance to do this.
Okay, are
Right,
you
the
ready
last
to
one.
call the question?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Call me.
Mr. DeMora, Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Maleka,
Yes.
Mr. Roblin,
Yes.
Mr. DeMora.
No.
Chairwoman Reed.
Yes, variance is granted, look at the project.
Thank you.
Case number 2, 1496 East 22nd Avenue. 23rd Avenue, I'm sorry. 1496 East 23rd Avenue. Hi, can you sign your name on the book and we will hear from the city and then come to you.
Okay, 1496 East 23rd Avenue is located on the north side of East 23rd Avenue, approximately 145 feet west of Filler Boulevard. The site is within the South London Area Commission and is zoned R3 residential. You can see the site is developed as a single unit dwelling in a residential neighborhood. Surrounding uses are primarily single unit dwellings with a smattering of multifamily. The applicant proposes to install a 9.7 foot wide driveway leading to a parking pad in the rear. The requested variance to reduce the minimum width of a residential driveway from 10 feet to 9.7 feet. Columbus citywide planning policies state that the character of new development should be appropriate based on nearby structures. The proposed driveway is appropriate based on the Scott Division of Traffic Management states that in general, access is required from an improved alley when available. However, with the prevalence of existing driveways that already access East 23rd, the impact of one additional driveway on the street would be marginal, so they are able to support the application as proposed. South London Area Commission recommends approval. Staff recommends approval as the proposal meets C2P2 standards and with the prevalence of existing driveways that already access East 23rd Avenue, the impact of one additional driveway on the street would be marginal. However, staff notes that an alternate arrangement where the applicant provides a parking space in the rear yard that is accessed from the alley would be code compliant and avoid the need for variance or a curb cut. We're not asking for any conditions. Turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you, good evening. I think the staff explained it pretty straightforward in terms of what the with my client is requesting.
Can you say your name, please, ma'am?
Alba Williams, Argyle.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
One other reason that the applicant wanted to have a driveway is that the neighbor's house, when it rains, it actually causes flooding in between the properties, and so that paved area allows for storm water to drain to the street and be taken away from the property because it floods his house and his baby.
Okay.
Did you happen to look at parking off of the alley in lieu of the coming off the street?
Yes, he did consider that, but the preference was to have it to the front door in terms of exit the home and get into the driveway into the vehicle.
Well, technically you would be allowed to do that. The variance for that as well.
What, in the back? where-
Okay, in the rear you can.
Yes,
not the-
yes, sorry, in the rear.
And I noted that the alley seemed fairly unimproved.
Yes, it is.
Look closely.
It's not improved. Broken asphalt, gravel, it's not improved with any permeable material, impermeable material.
Do we have anybody here to speak for or against this application? Do you have any other questions for the applicant?
I'll call a question.
Question has been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Walling?
Yes.
Mr. Demora?
Yes, second, you vote yes.
Chair Pulver?
Yes, variance granted, good luck with the project.
Keeping track of these terms.
Case number 3, 2587 Dayton Avenue.
I'm Allison Bell.
Hi, Miss, you can sign your name right there on the sheet, and we'll hear from the city.
2587 Dayton Avenue, located on the west side of Dayton Avenue, approximately 120 feet north of Hudson Street. Site is located within the University Area Commission and zoned R2F residential. The site was developed with a single unit dwelling, since been demolished. Within a residential neighborhood, surrounding uses are primarily single unit with 1 2-unit dwelling to the west. And as I said, the existing dwelling was recently demolished. The applicant proposes to construct a 2-unit dwelling in place of the recently raised single-unit dwelling. Request variances to increase the maximum lot coverage from 25% to 39.4%, increase the floor area ratio from 40% to 58.1%. University District Plan recommends that existing buildings be preserved, rehabilitated, and that proposals with lower intensity residential recommended areas place priority on preserving the existing contributing buildings. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the University Area Commission recommends approval. City staff is recommending approval, although the University District Plan recommends that existing buildings be preserved and rehabilitated. The existing dwelling has already been demolished. After receiving revised materials that include a front yard tree and change of materials to hardy board, staff is now in full support of the proposal, and with the following recommendation, the site plan and elevations will be stamped with. That will turn it over to the applicant.
Okay.
So I did want to make one comment when I saw the site plan come up. There was an updated site plan that had the backyard, correct?
The site plan in your packet should be correct, but I'm going to pass it around.
So basically, we're looking to build bigger than now. Living Clickville would like to come back. This is going to be a party that
Yep.
my husband and I and our small children live in. Like to do a new place to have my mother, who's a retired elementary school teacher, live there. And this is what we can do for.
And I drop my kids off.
Do you have all of the bedrooms on the first floor?
No, the bedrooms are on the second floor. Each time being 3 bedrooms.
So no bedrooms on the first floor, and you plan to have an aging in-law live
She's pretty spry.
there today. What's your plan for the future? I was just curious, since you can build what you want to build today.
Okay.
And I'm assuming you access the garage off of the service alley, is that correct?
Correct. The service alley, you'd be able to pull into the garage. There's
Next to it. And then was there a demo permit on this?
I didn't research that, but.
I was just curious the way you guys were talking about preserving existing.
Well, yeah, that's not in code. It's the recommendation of the area plan, so.
Okay.
Do we have anybody here tonight to speak about this application? Please come forward, sir. Ma'am, if you can let him get to the mic. Thanks.
Hello, Leander Smith.
And you were sworn in earlier,
Yes.
testimony?
It's, this is my first time having the opportunity to see Ms. Bell speak. General consensus in the neighborhood, I live in 2596 Dayton, that, this type of variance would, not allow, it would encroach on, well, it's here. It'd make it very difficult to park on the street. Already, we have a total of 34 units between Hudson Street and Duncan. And that's not, that's splitting in half the two. I don't know if you can show your plan or show the neighborhood. From 231 to 249 on the west side of Dayton Avenue, as you can see the 5 units there. We're only counting half of those, and the same to the east. That's not shown in the picture. There's a total of 2 units on that side. There's 4 parking places in the rear of that, so only counting that gives us, I think 34 parking spaces or room for, we had 20 feet or 25 feet for each car. We'd only be able to fit 29 cars. Already, it's difficult to park in that area. Almost everyone has cars. Also, I'm surprised that some of the other neighbors aren't here yet, but believe that it was rumored that they would be turning this into 3 units instead of actually 2. You'll notice that there's egress windows on that lower floor on each side, and that they may be adding bedrooms in the basement and increasing the occupancy of that to accommodate the addition of more bedrooms. So there's probably going to be more people there than the parking in the neighborhood would be able to support.
So your testimony is there won't be enough parking.
Yes.
And for staff, there is no parking variance requested, correct?
Correct, we are providing code compliant parking.
They're providing code compliant parking.
Trust me, sir, every time there's a parking variance, as everyone in this panel knows, I look at them very closely, but they're not, I mean, if they're not asking for a parking variance, means they're providing a number of spots that they're legally required to provide, and there's, even I can't vote something on a parking thing that doesn't exist. And I said, I vote no on parking, and we will tell you all the time. So,
See that?
I said, but they're not asking for any variance, so they're not voting no. We can only determine, we're only allowed to say if we're okay with the lot coverage and the floor area ratio. That means if they're not asking for parking variance, we can't even consider that, but it's not part of the variance package.
Okay.
And trust me, if it was, I'd be asking different questions.
Do you have anything else to say?
No, that's it. It was just about the parking.
Okay.
We definitely welcome an improvement to the neighborhood. The house that was there prior was definitely ready for demolition. And we're glad to see something come in, but we just want to make sure that we don't see that take away from the quality of life that we're already able to experience there.
Fair point. Thank you. Is anybody else here to speak about this application? We have some overflow rooms. Just want to make sure. You can hear us.
They should have been teed up.
Okay. Do we have any other questions for the applicant? Board?
We'll call the question.
Question's been called. Please call. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I wanted to ask her.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can you step back up for 1 second? I just wanted to make sure that the site plan and elevations that the city has are final and we can stamp those.
The last one I sent you.
This one right
Yeah.
here. This is the one I think is in the packet. So do we stamp
Yes,
this?
you don't mind saying that.
Okay, that's fine.
Do you have
Okay.
any elevation? Well, no,
I have all the new, I need to.
that'd be great, yeah.
Okay, you
Chair.
stamp that whole packet? Thank you.
I think that's black and white.
Okay. Okay, are we ready to call the question?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Okay, Mr. Walkley,
Yes.
Mr. Maleka,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Delora,
Yes.
Chairwoman Bailey.
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project. Case 5751 North Hamilton Road. Say your name again,
Evan Salyers.
and you are a,
I'm an engineer at EMH&T, speaking on behalf of James Healthcare.
okay, gotcha. Okay, we're here for, were you sworn in earlier?
Was not.
Okay, can you, after you finish writing, raise your right hand. You promise the testimony gives not be the truth, nothing but the truth. Please say it, I do.
I do.
Okay. We'll hear from the city first, and we'll come back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 5751 North Hamilton Road is located at the northeast corner of North Hamilton Road and Old Hamilton Road, served by the Northland Community Council. It's a commercial plan development. The 2.4 acre site is currently under development. Surrounding uses include an apartment complex to the west, 15 commercial lands to the north, east, and south, and a retail and restaurant building to the northeast. The applicant proposes to construct a new beauty salon with associated parking to be accessed off the new private road connected to Old Hamilton Road. The salon would include an accessory eating and drinking use without dining. Variance is to increase the maximum number of required parking spaces from 75 to 90, get maximum number of required parking spaces. Neither the Northland Plan Volume 2 nor the Northland standards address the issue of parking maximums. Therefore, planning division has a comment. The comment of traffic, and the Northland Community Council recommended approval of the request. City departments recommend approval, although there are no other occurrences of BZA variances to maximum parking maximums, parking maximums in the Northland area. The proposed development would not be incompatible with the character of the surrounding neighborhood. Understanding that all parking lot landscaping and screening requirements are being met. Madam Chair.
So when you say, parking landscape, that's trees, right, in the parking lot?
Landscaping and screening could be a combination of fences, trees, shrubs.
Okay. Okay, sir, you have anything to add?
The other thing I'd like to add is that our justification for the number is derived from the number of stations that will be active within the salon. We're expecting 36 stations, and for those we are expecting 2.5 people to fill those stations. One, the employee operating the station, one, the customer, and then a half for various staff management, people operating the accessory eating spaces, janitorial staff, etc. So altogether, the 90 spaces we feel will be required in order for those buildings to operate. If the spaces are not provided, the demand will still be there, and they will have to find out.
What type of eatery were you discussing?
I'm not intimately aware of that. My understanding is that it's a small bar area with various food offerings.
Designed for the guests, not like outside random people.
Correct.
Oh, so this is all internal to?
Yeah.
It's a Friday.
Okay, no, I apologize, I missed that.
He didn't say that.
For my girlfriend to come.
Is there anybody here to
I was
speak?
doing math.
Is there anybody here to speak about this application? Sir, please come forward.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Dave Ball. I chair the North Development Committee. Here just very briefly to affirm, as staff has indicated, that Mr. Sawyer has met with our committee to Columbia Square
Oh, have you not been sworn in?
I know.
Okay. The testimony you give tonight with the truth, and with the truth, please state I do.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Sawyer met with our committee on July 28th this year, discussed this application. Our committee ultimately did recommend approval of this application by vote of 16-0, so they were unanimously in favor of approval. Person to answer any questions you might have about that recommendation.
Unanimous recommendation. I don't think I have any questions. Anyone else? Okay, thank you for your testimony. Anybody else here to speak about this application?
Call the question.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. DeLauro,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Maleka,
Yes.
Mr. Walkley,
Yes.
Chair Plummer Bailey.
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project. Okay, 1101 Carmel Court. Is that Carmel Court? Okay, can you sign the sheet there?
Yes.
And we will hear from the city first. Were you sworn in?
No, that was not.
Okay. You promise that the testimony you give tonight with the truth, nothing but the truth, please state I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 1101 Carmel Court is located on the southwest side of Carmel Court, approximately 125 feet south of Carmel Drive, served by the Far West Side Area Commission in zone limited, residential, and R rural districts. The 0.42 acre site, which is made up of 2 parcels, is developed with a single unit dwelling. The smaller parcel is located in a different tax district, which precludes a lot combination. Surrounding uses are all single unit dwellings, including one to the south located in Prairie Township. The applicant proposes to construct a swimming pool in the rear yard, which would overlap the boundaries of the 2 subject parcels. Variances are to reduce the minimum lot size for the smaller parcel from 5 acres to 0.047 acres to allow a pool within the side yards and to allow the accessory pool to be partially on a separate parcel. That's a slightly redundant variance request. The Big Darby Accord Watershed Master Plan does not address private swimming pools. Far West Side Area Commission recommended approval of the request, and city departments recommend approval. The configuration of the lots is a result of the oddities of the annexation process, given that the lots cannot be combined because of differing tax districts. The intent of the area and side yard requirements would still be served without any detriment to the adjoining properties. Following condition would ensure that the variance request not apply to any other development scenario. The condition would be that the variance shall only apply to in-ground swimming pools. Or one swimming pool, Madam Chair.
Okay. Please state your name for the record.
It's Kristen Moore.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to this application? Okay.
So that other parcel, it's that triangle. You must have fun paying taxes. Yeah, I don't see any. It's an odd thing,
This is the epitome of a technical variance and hardship.
but that's 2 different parcels.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out. Okay.
Call the question.
Okay, questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have anybody here to speak about this application? Okay, go ahead. Questions are called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Maleka,
Yes.
Mr. Walkley,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Abstain.
Mr. Demora,
Yes.
Chair Plummer Bailey.
Yes, variance granted. Good luck. 200 Hutchinson Avenue. Please sign in on the thing there.
All right, 200 Hutchinson Avenue is located on the south side of Hutchinson Avenue, approximately 550 feet east of High Cross Boulevard. This is located in the far north Columbus, our Communities Coalition. in the existing zoning is CPD, Commercial Plan Development District. The plus or minus 16 acre site is developed with a movie theater and associated parking. Surrounding uses include multi-unit dwellings, hotels, and other commercial type businesses. The applicant proposes to sell off 3 acres of the surface parking lot, and thus a variance is being requested to reduce the parking spaces from 1,226 to 795 spaces. The Board of Zoning Adjustment approved a variance for this property in 2013 to reduce the minimum parking spaces from 573 to 0. 1,799 were required, and they went down to 1,226. The Far North Area Plan does not address this matter, therefore planning has no comment. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments, as a variance can be supported without a parking study because of the low potential impact on neighboring streets. And the Far North Columbus Communities Coalition recommended approval of this request. Staff can recommend approval of reducing the existing parking spaces from 1,226 to 795. The Division of Parking Services has reviewed this request and concluded the variance can be supported without the need for a parking study that would typically be required for a variance of this magnitude for the Department of Public Service parking variance review guidelines.
Okay. Ma'am, say your name for the record.
My name is Alex Hibbelmeyer. I represent BNP Realty Marcus Theaters.
And what is the building, what is the proposed use going to be of the building that remains?
Right now, we have under contract a multifamily user. However, that is not a done deal, and they will have to go through their own approval process. Whether that goes through or not, we still would like to sell this parcel. It's grossly underutilized, and we want to see it go to a better use than just an empty parking lot.
Yeah, but I guess I'm just wondering, whatever the use is gonna be remaining, is there gonna be enough parking? for that?
100% self-parked. So anything that we put there, we're requiring the developer be 100% self-parked on their 3 acre parcel, so that we will have no cross parking easements for that developer. So we will still be 100% self-parked, and they will be 100% self-parked. We have a cross parking easement for another 144 stalls just adjacent to our property as well, that if we got into a bind, we could utilize.
Okay.
However, at the current request at 795, that is at what we would consider our standard across our board and our 60 some odd theaters that have the luxury recliner seating as a seat to parking stall ratio. Pre-COVID, I should say, because obviously our parking counts have been low post-COVID.
Right. So whatever you're gonna reconfigure this building to be, then you have to stay within the 795 spaces.
Yes, that would be the benchmark we would want to stay at for our use.
Okay.
And for our use, yes.
So, so if this time somebody develops it, they have to come before us, or they can't get any kind of, I mean, they can't build something and what you're saying, they have to, I mean, they want, not enough parking, they're gonna have to ask us for that.
Right. If their proposal requires parking that they can't meet, then they need to bring.
So the site plan showing the apartments that's included in our package is not?
That is the current, we received that from our current potential buyer, yes. So that we would have a layout for what is currently in the works. However, like I said, regardless of whether that proceeds, we still would like this variance so that if that doesn't happen, we can monetize this through later.
We put this is a question for the name. We put a condition that the 3 acres and not, whoever they sell it to, can't make a request for additional parking.
No, we can't do that.
I guess that's the question.
I don't think legally we could do that.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to, they'll have 3 acres, and whatever they want to build, they'll have to be code compliant, and if they want more space, then they'll come before us.
Oh, I just meant if we do that as a condition to the sale of whatever that 3 acres is, so that we negate that headache back end.
We can't impose something.
No, because I think it's not,
That's like- question.
I don't think it's fair. I mean, we provide variances all the time, so
Yeah.
they would be entitled to request a variance of us.
Oh, that's great. That makes sense, question.
Any other questions for the applicant? Is there anybody here to speak about this application? Okay, if there's no more questions, are you ready to call the question?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Malika,
Yes.
Mr. Weldon,
Yes.
Mr. Demore,
It already passed, so I can vote no.
Chair Palmer David.
Yes, variance granted, good luck with the projects. Mr. Demore is gonna be consistent. 19 East 13th Avenue, I see Mr. Hart is already stepping forward. Here from the city.
PTA 19-039 is located at 19 East 13th Avenue. The site is located at the southeast corner of East 13th Avenue and North High Street. The site is within the University Area Commission and Zone C4 commercial. The site is currently developed with a 3,426 square foot eating and drinking establishment with an existing 680 square foot accessory patio. Neighboring uses are commercial and to the east, an apartment building across Pearl Alley. The applicant proposes adding an additional 578 square feet to the patio by requesting variances to decrease the required number of additional parking spaces from 51 to 7 to allow the expansion to be constructed within the clear vision triangle. The existing parking variance for the site, 11310-0000006, which allowed the initial 608 square foot patio, was conditioned on the landscaping lighting improvements being provided along 13th Avenue frontage. Since the street trees and lighting were never provided, as conditioned by the previous parking variance, and the site is now not in compliance. So either the street improvements will need to be provided as part of the final site compliance plan review, or the variance should account for the previously varied parking spaces, which is why the applicant is here today. So they're basically asking for a parking variance for the entire patio. The University District Plan recommends regional mixed use for this area. States that parking needs must be balanced with the goal of intensifying development in campus, which is more walkable and lessening intensity in the neighborhoods further from campus. The Division of Traffic Management initially recommended a parking study. However, the applicants appealed, and the Division of Traffic Management has reviewed the appeal and determined that a parking study can be waived for the site. Because the majority of the variance is to correct an existing deficiency and the practical change is to increase parking, as well as because all on-street parking in the area is already managed as part of paid or resident permit parking, the Division of Parking Services supports the requested variance without completion of a parking study. The University Area Commission recommends disapproval of this request. City staff is recommending approval. Staff notes that the development is in a dense urban environment near campus, is located along a transit corridor, and has access to nearby public structured parking. Variances would meet the plan's goals of preserving and enhancing the walkable nature of the area, as well as helping preserve the building stock. We're not asking for any conditions.
Okay, state your name for the record.
David Hunt, attorney for the applicant.
You have quite a case here.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can do my best to simplify it.
Okay, go ahead.
Forward, and then Mr. Demore and I will have a conversation about parking here. I wonder, would it be okay with everybody if we go back to the site plan on the screen and I go up and point to a few things as we walk through what these variances are?
Fine by me.
Brandon, can I get that close to you? So it's 4 variances. One is to not have a loading space on the site. There's currently not, this is a developed piece of property, there's currently not a loading space on the site. There's not room for a loading space on the site. So that particular variance is to legitimize what is an existing condition. We have,
Mr. Rogers,
yes,
how does then, like the Budweiser truck get to that facility and then offload their
Yeah.
products?
So
It's in the middle of High Street.
So they're either stopping over at Hyde on off hours, or they're using this alley, which is one way. Maybe this is flipped around south. Maybe this is, anyway, this alley is one way this direction. So the other, one of the other variances that we have is vision clearance. That's at this location here. Well, that is purely a technical variance because cars can't come off of High Street on the 13th. This is blocked. So 13th comes down and it dead ends here. So there's not going to be anybody that takes a right and comes this direction. Therefore, nobody's going to be blocked from that vision clearance point there. The other vision clearance aspect that we have is the request to extend this patio out towards the street. So we get into vision clearance there. Well, that is also purely technical because this is a one-way alley going this direction. So when somebody's heading here, obviously, unless somebody's, drunk and going the wrong way, you're not going to have any visibility blocked because all cars are coming down this direction. So last but not least, parking. This is a requesting a reduction for the expansion of a patio, essentially on Ohio State's campus of 578 square feet. And you can go back to the pretty pictures that you have that shows what's there now and what's being proposed. 578 square feet of additional patio is 2 parking spaces. So while the statement of hardship has a certain number in it, that's based upon the analysis that takes the existing deficiency into consideration, redoes the calculation, takes into account the number of parking spaces that are there, and then the number of additional spaces necessary for this 578 square feet of parking. So it's 2 parking spaces is really, in my opinion, what this entire case is about. The parking lot that's there, as you can see in that picture, is barricaded off. It's not striped. It's a little willy-nilly in there. So as part of this proposal, as the owner comes into site compliance, that parking lot gets formalized, spaces get striped, and it actually nets out 2 additional parking spaces when you go in and stripe it and configure this the way it's supposed to be configured under the code. I'd like to talk a little bit about the University Area Commission and their recommendation, which, as you heard staff say, is disapproval.
Wait, let me stop you for a second. I'm trying to follow you. So you're saying without the additional patio, you were already underparked
Without the additional patio, we are underparked.
by 49 spaces.
It's underparked because this Ethel Tank is a bar restaurant that's over on the left-hand side of the screen. Midway, which is on the right-hand side of the screen, is on the same piece of property. All of those are required to be parked at whatever it is up in this overlay. And so all of that's being served by that existing parking lot now, which is grossly underparked from what's required. The interesting thing, Chair Palmer, about this property, and I should have said this long ago, is that this is on campus. And patrons to these establishments are walking over here by and large. Does somebody occasionally drive? I'm sure they do. But this is, by and large, the life of these places is to serve the campus population. It's, fraternities, sororities, folks that live in the dorms, and people are truly, more than any place in town, walking over to this destination, which further warrants a reduction. Here we could certainly say that this is on the bus route, but realistically, I don't know how many people are getting on the bus and riding over to Midway or Ethel Tank.
So how come the argument didn't save the day with the University Area Commission?
Say it again?
How come that argument didn't save the day with the University Area Commission?
Excellent question. That is a great question. And I don't have the recommendation with me, Jamie. Do you have the form? Could you read what the University Area Commission said? The basis of their recommendation? And I'm grateful to them for including the basis of their recommendation in this. I can assure you it had nothing to do with vision clearance, it had nothing to do with loading, and it had nothing to do with parking. The University Area Commission admits in its recommendation to this board that the basis of their recommendation is because they don't like cars, and they don't think that my client is a good operator, a good business owner, and they therefore have a problem just with doing anything to facilitate and make it easy for campus destinations to exist, and they therefore on that basis voted no. They did not vote no about vision clearance, they did not vote no about loading, and they did not vote no about parking. And they admitted as much in their recommendation to the board.
And you were at the meeting when they discussed it?
Yes, ma'am, I was at both the zoning committee and the full commission.
So let's speak about not being a good operator.
Sure.
Is there a basis for that?
Historically, not, this is a weird property, as I said before, it's got Ethel Tank on it, and it's got Midway. Ethel Tank, has been pretty highly regarded in the neighborhood. Midway
Has not been.
has not been.
They just got cited for not having distance and serving during COVID, and they had over serving, and they just got on all kind of trouble.
They have historically had some issues over at Midway, without a doubt. They've engaged me, they've engaged an army of other people. There are no, to my knowledge, Mr. Demore, outstanding issues. They have been actively engaged with the city attorney's office, and others to mitigate those issues. You know, when you have a campus bar during COVID, it's pretty dang hard to get people to stay 6 feet apart. But at the end of the day, this is a legal issue, and we're talking about practical difficulty, and in some cases hardship. We're talking about vision clearance, we're talking about loading, and we're talking about parking, and whether or not the owner of this property is Satan or Jesus Christ, that's irrelevant to whether or not there's a practical difficulty here on the property. And here I say we're, at the end of the day, this is a 578 square foot patio on Ohio State's campus to encourage people to be outside, and I think it's, in this case, certainly appropriate. The other thing is, and I hope this is in your package, we, the property owner here went out and polled the neighborhood, residents and businesses and business owners, and I think there are 19 or 20 letters of support for this request in your package. And in terms of who this operator is, the market in Italian Village, I think it's actually called the Market. It's on 4th. That's the owner here. This is the owner of the Crest. This is the owner of the juice place. I can't think of what it's called on Grandview Avenue. So these are entrepreneurial operators with service type of businesses with a lot of care and concern and attention to detail in terms of the aesthetic they provide in their establishments, in terms of, chefs and menus and things. That's something that's more at Crest than it is at Midway, but I do know they've recently spent quite a bit of money to spruce up the interior and exterior of Midway as well.
So what about, first sentence on the second page I'm reading, since with granted a variance last time and they didn't provide the street trees and lighting. So, why wasn't that done? Why?
Right, so if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Demore, on that particular aspect, they were granted approvals to do a certain development, which they never ended up bringing to fruition. And so the series of variances that were previously issued were never really utilized in terms of redevelopment of the property. So those are existing out there in a board order, is my understanding, and we've got to come back now and clean this up and bring this into compliance with this use as proposed under the code as it exists today.
And then you showed that parking lot that was fenced off and had a bunch of tables in it. Several owners of establishments in the short north and campus, you're gonna put striping on that thing, but what's this, my guess is the owner's still gonna block that off on football game days and have, and illegally have that as a patio space. So what happens all the time in the short north and campus.
Right, so I can't speak to particularly the dates that those photographs were taken. I do know that this particular owner did have the appropriate COVID-related liquor licenses issued for outdoor dining, whatever those emergency measures were that allow restaurants and eating and drinking establishments to do that. So I believe that's what was going on in the parking lot at that time.
You have to convince 4 others, obviously, so.
2 parking spaces, Mr. Demore, to allow a 578 square foot patio on an eating and drinking establishment on Ohio State's campus in arguably the most pedestrian oriented neighborhood in all of the city of Columbus. I certainly think that allowing some, modest, less than 600 square feet of outdoor dining on a campus location is appropriate under just about any circumstances.
Is there anybody here to speak for against this application. I do note that we have the letters you spoke about, Mr. Hodge, in the packet. We see those.
Mr. Rod, could you do me a favor? Can we pull up that aerial where Mr. Demore was just talking about with the blocked off? I just want to see where the extra 500 feet is coming to.
Can I come up?
Yeah, please, please.
Let me get myself oriented here. So the parking lot exists. This is Ethel Tech.
Yep.
This is Midway. The parking lot exists at this location, and its size will not be changed at all with this. This patio expansion for Ethel Tank does not take up any existing parking. It extends just about where my finger is. Right now, there's a little bit of a terrace, which we can go back and look at the pictures, a little bit of a landscape terrace. We want to come in and fill that in and do a landscape wall along the front.
So you are not cutting into what I see as those three cars?
No, sir. That area remains unchanged, and that parking that's in there now, you see how those three cars are head in? We have enough room to come in and do an aisle and do parking stalls that direction and parking stalls that direction.
What about the sidewalk? Like just cutting off the sidewalk?
The sidewalk will remain as is. That's in the city's right of way, and we won't get into that sidewalk at all. And as you can see, I've been over here many times to meet with these people. They office here, lots of available on-street parking. This is head-in parking off of the right of way here. And, you know, we do here have 19 or 20 people that went out of their way to roll up their sleeves and look at what this proposal is and send the board a letter urging your approval of the request.
Jim, did you pull up, or do you have the reading line University District? No, I know Hudson.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Did indicate the reasons. I just wanted to confirm.
It just says, approval, commissioners were concerned about the issues with Midway Bar, owned by the same company. As ethylene tank and is located next to it. Issues include zoning problems, not following COVID-19 protocols, noise complaints. The zoning committee also voted the proposal down, yes, 0, no, 6, abstaining.
So notably, nothing about parking, vision clearance, or loading.
So, and they were unanimous on that?
No, they weren't. The zoning committee was unanimous. I gave maybe a more impassioned plea to the full commission than I've given to you here this afternoon. And interestingly, those that were not also members of the zoning committee voted yes. So I think the vote ended up being 7-3 or 6-3 or something like that.
Okay.
I did get some yes votes.
And Mr. Hodge, just being honest, I mean, having a form letter that college kids sign while they're drinking at a bar is not exactly getting a bunch of neighborhood signatures of people that are around it. I mean, every letter is the same and the college kids signing it.
Mr. Demore, with all due respect, I actually looked closely at that and reached out to my client on that when that was sent to me. And these are not drunk kids that are drinking at the bar. These are neighborhood owners. These are neighborhood residents that are right here in the immediate vicinity. You'll notice some of the signatures are from local business owners that don't live in the immediate neighborhood, which is why I decided to go ask my client that question.
So I guess given the description, Mr. Hodges, from the 51 spaces to 21 spaces, given that it's just essentially a bump out.
Right.
So you help me clarify as to why you're going to lose 30 spaces parking for the bump out.
Wait.
I'm not.
It's
I know, but it's
not
complicated.
51 to 21, it's 51 to 7. Where do you get 51 to
Oh,
21?
I was looking at the number one applicant request following variances, 33, 12.49, 51 to 21. But you're right. 7 parking spaces we provided on site. So I apologize. I stopped at 51 to 21.
But let me try to answer your question. And this is, you almost have to be, I think, a zoning lawyer to understand how dang complicated this is. What we have to do, Mr. Webley, is go in and look at the existing requirement, as if this were brand new and we were going to come in and create this square footage of restaurant. And that would be, X number of spaces. Then we have to look at what is provided or what has historically been provided. there's then a formula that you plug in that gives you credit for an existing deficiency. And so that's how we come up with those numbers. But at the end of the day, what the only additional eating and drinking establishment square footage that is being created here is 578 square feet of outdoor space, which is 2 parking spaces.
Just shocked that formula creates that discrepancy.
I mean, I would hope that that's one of the 10,000 reasons that the city is actively exploring rewriting its zoning code, because it's insane, especially in the urban neighborhoods.
Is that gonna be carried over every time this applicant wants to do something else with the space?
Well, it would
It'll
depend.
always be this deficiency that looks ginormous when it's actually not.
It would depend. If there's a redevelopment of the property, of course, that redevelopment would have to come in and comply with the zoning code as it exists. I don't know that there are any uses in the code that are more intense than eating and drinking establishment in terms of what its parking requirement is. Maybe assembly, yeah. But anytime these guys, like if they wanted to convert to office, that would be favorable to us, right? We wouldn't have an issue there. If we wanted to convert to assembly, we'd have to come in and have another parking conversation. My sense is there will come a day when 13th and this property and some of the properties to the north redevelopment as much of the east side of High Street has. But in terms of this is really, less than 600 square feet of outdoor space for folks to go. And the 6 or 7 months a year in Columbus when you can do that.
Any more questions? Are we ready? Ready?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, let's call a roll.
Mr. Weldon?
Still struggling with this parking situation with the formulaic approach, but I'm gonna say yes, based off of the fact it's just a bump out of the current patio.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Demore?
That's good, since it's already passed, I can vote no again.
Chair Palmer Bates?
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project.
Thank you all very much.
421 Rathmel Road, 421 Rathmel Road. Good evening, sir. If you would sign your name on the pad there. We'll hear from the city first, then we'll come back to you.
Madam Chair. 421 Rathmel Road is located on the south side of Rathmel Road, approximately 130 feet east of Fosterson Drive, served by the Far South Columbus Area Commission. It's zoned R4. The 2.5 acre site is developed with a single unit dwelling, detached garage, and accessory building on the eastern portion. About half the site is undeveloped. Surrounding uses include single unit dwellings to the west, east, and south, and a church building to the north. The applicant proposes to split the lot in two and legitimize the building setback for the existing structures. No new dwelling is currently being proposed on the western lot. However, the intent is for a future single unit dwelling. The variances are to reduce the minimum lot areas 5 acres to 1.31 acres and 0.85 acres for the eastern and western lots respectively, and to reduce the eastern lot's minimum building setback from 60 feet to 10 feet. So my report says 11 feet. The nearest distance was revised as 10 feet, 16 to 10. The South Central Court nor C2P2 addressed this matter. The Far South Columbus Area Commission recommended approval of the request. City departments recommend approval. Although a rezoning could be pursued and is preferred by staff, the proposed lot sizes are generally compatible with the surrounding properties and create a transitional area between the PUD district and properties to the north.
Okay, sir, can you state your name for the record and whether you've been sworn?
Been sworn in. My first name is Brad, last name is Basil, B-A-S-I-L.
Thank you. You heard the report of the city. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Bill has done a good job of explaining our intentions.
I agree. Okay, do we have any questions for the applicant?
Nope.
Is there anyone here to speak about this application? Okay, ready for the question?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. DeVora,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Mosley.
He's
Oh.
stepped out.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Mr. Maleka.
Yes.
Sarah Palmer Bailey.
Yes, variance granted, thank you. 2918 Parsons Avenue.
I'm gonna park 2 cars in a camper.
5 acres, you can do what you want.
Okay, we'll hear from the city on this one.
Parsons Avenue is located on the east side of Parsons Avenue, approximately 100 feet north of Ziegler Avenue, served by the Sparks Columbus Area Commission and Zone M Manufacturing. 3-acre site is developed with an impound lot, associated parking, and what appears to be a dwelling. Surrounding uses include single-unit dwellings to the west, farmland to the north and east, and middle school to the south. In November 2020, a zoning code violation notice was issued for the existing use not having a special permit, including other violations. The applicant proposes to legitimize existing conditions and establish parking and maneuvering areas. Special permit is required for the impound lot. Variances are to reduce the storage separation distances in the residential district from 600 feet to 40 feet, from interior lot lines from 0 feet to allow drive aisles and parking areas to be gravel. The Southland Plan and C2P2 both stress the importance of buffering commercial uses from surrounding adjacent uses. Buffering should use elements such as existing and new vegetation, fencing and masonry walls. Landscaping installations should enhance buildings, create and define public and private spaces, and provide aesthetic appeal. With the revised site plan showing landscaping and screening along the southern lot line, consistent with C2P2, planning is now support. The Far South Columbus Area Commission recommended approval of the requests, and they requested the fence on the west side of the storage area be raised to 8 feet with transparent screening required elsewhere. I think they meant non-transparent. City departments recommend approval. The proposal is consistent with the area plan and C2P2 design guidelines, and that the landscaping and screening along the southern lot line meet the goal of buffering commercial uses from other uses. And you recommend a condition that the applicant commit to the stamp site plan, which shows the landscaping near the entrance. And the request by the area commission that is reflected in the new site plan, 8-foot non-transparent.
Say that again?
The request for the fence to be increased to 8 feet is reflected in the new site plan.
Okay.
And so the applicant has already agreed to that. Okay.
But it
Okay.
says chain link, it doesn't say.
No, the revised, it says with slats, it will all be opaque. All of that will be slatted and opaque so that we will meet the conditions that we laid out to the area commission.
Where does it say that?
It says 8-foot structure, screening structure.
The label says screening structure, and this over here says in this area will be 6 feet with slats, chain link with slats.
But that's not the, they said
8
west.
foot, they said 8 foot.
This
On the
area
west.
is
That's the one that they.
The west side.
That's
not the left.
I got confused.
This is all the storage, so they are referring to the west of the storage, which will be right here.
Yes.
All the storage is on the east side of this fence in the middle, and then all the parking is on west side of it, so that when they say west, they mean west of the storage.
So why would they care about what's between? I mean, this whole site is theirs, right? Up to Parsons or no?
Yes.
So I don't think that the neighborhood cares about what's on their site separating. I'm thinking, are you sure you have west and east and north? Why is that not on this map?
So, hold on a second, sir.
I mean, to me, they would be more concerned about what's the Buckeye Middle School.
I can interpret and say that they're concerned with the screening from Parsons.
Exactly.
There's a house between that and the building.
Yeah, can we look at it like an aerial of where that property is in to, yeah, what else?
Yeah, why would they care about on that side of the property with all that field?
Yeah.
Well, that's where the school is, right?
No.
No, school's built out.
School's what?
The south. The school's right there, that big area right here.
So the school's down here. And so this is, you're saying right here is the west facing. That's the east.
Yeah. What the area commission was concerned about, they wanted to make sure that the cars back behind the fence were thoroughly screened. So they asked us to increase the 6 foot to 8 foot for the purposes of screening, for these folks and the traffic on Parsons Avenue.
And what's gonna happen up here?
That's green space.
What's gonna happen with the school? It's gonna let the school kids watch.
This will all be slatted 6 foot high, which is required under code. So we're gonna meet all the code requirements for screening. That's not a variance. So,
Sir, state your name for the record, please. State your name for the record.
Mr. Jones, Madam Chair, the planning had requested the landscaping near the entrance here.
Oh, landscaping.
yeah, and we added
Sir, state.
Jack Reynolds, Attorney Smith at L 37 West Broad Street, Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, you may.
We did talk with planning. We did agree to add the landscaping up front as the parking landscaping and at the sign. We also agreed to do a 4 foot high board on board fence from the front of the building towards Parson in order to add some screening to the school itself. Because anything higher than 4 feet in front of 3.5 feet, 36 inches, in front of the building would require variance. So I may need to change that to 36 inches.
Possibly within the building setback.
Yeah,
Change what?
I'm just trying to think, and I have a 4 foot tall fence that runs along that fence. Yeah. We want to provide some additional.
Code compliance and have.
But the idea being, the parking lot area, the inbound lot will be screened from the school. Per code, with a 6 foot high, opaque fence will be installed. So we're taking care of the school to the south. We'd like to be able to take care of the school in front of the building to the south. The neighborhood was concerned about looking at the cars from Parsons, so we agreed to do the 8 foot high fence and screening.
At where the cars are gonna start?
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Thanks for.
And they also wanted us to ask you all to stamp the plan so that we ensured that no cars would be stored in front of the fence.
Yep. And you're agreed, the city has the final plans ready to be stamped?
Yes.
Okay.
How long has your client been operating illegally?
We moved in January 1st, 2018, and was served November of 2020.
traditionally, that building in that area to the rear has been full of cars. He wasn't aware that when it became an impound lot for a towing establishment, that you had to get a special permit and you had to meet the spacing requirements. So,
Oh, because it was operating as what before?
a body shop,
Oh, okay.
historically, that area was all full of cars. So he thought he was simply continuing to fill a space with tow vehicles, more or less, or inoperable vehicles. So he got the notice, he contacted me, and that's why we're in front of you this evening.
Okay. And then the areas that are gonna be gravel are gonna be behind that fence
Yes.
as well?
That was the condition, was that everything in front of the
I see gravel.
the fence had to be paved, and that to the rear of the fence towards the east could be a combination of gravel and asphalt.
Okay. Okay. Do we have anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Do you have any more questions for the applicant from the board?
What was the vote at the area commission?
And this approval.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm still struggling with the separation between,
The 6 foot fence?
no, it's what would be 4 foot.
That's
Board on board wooden fence. If the school is right there, it cuts off where the arrow is. Struggling with the fact we're only doing a 4 foot height fence there and not taking it back further to further protect, essentially the kids that are in the schools.
I think
I
what
think,
you're
yeah.
looking at is like more, more
Intense.
acceptable in the front
Yeah.
with a 4 foot.
Yeah. I get that it's not, he's following code, and I'm just telling you that's what I was felt.
May I explain that the parking spaces out front are for visitors and employees? They're not for impound vehicles. So it's a parking lot screening and not to prevent the visibility of the impounded cars. So we just wanted to make sure that we screen the school because currently it's a chain link fence there. You wanted to do something.
And you're adding slats for the entire space?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Except the wooden one up front.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay. Any more questions?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Laura,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Walpley,
Yes.
Mr. Maleka,
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey.
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project.
Thank you, folks.
And the
Very
special. Next case, 1260 Hawthorne Avenue. I mean, if you can sign your name on the pad there, we'll hear from the city first and then come back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 1260 Hawthorne Avenue is located at the northeast corner of Hawthorne Avenue and North Champion Avenue. Site is within the Near East Area Commission zoned ARLD apartment residential low density. The 1.68 acre site is currently undeveloped. Surrounding the site is a community education center to the north and multi-unit dwellings to the south and east and west. The applicant proposes to develop a parcel with a recreational park. Variance is requested to maneuver over property lines as the drive to serve the proposed parking area is on separate parcels. Planning Division have no comment as the Near East Area Plan was not addressed on maneuvering variances. And initially, we did not have a recommendation, but in the supplemental packet that was mailed out today, Michael provided the approval letter from the Near East Area Commission. City staff is recommending approval. Staff recommends approval as proposed, as a proposal as proposed variance will not impact the surrounding neighborhood. And the Division of Traffic Management has no issues. We're not asking for any conditions, so we'll turn it back over to the applicant.
Can you state your name for the record or whether or not you've been sworn in?
Name is Gavin Spence, and I have this.
Okay, do you have anything to add about this application?
I do not have anything to add, but I'm here to be out.
Okay. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
I'll call the question.
Let me first ask, is anybody here to speak about this application? Okay, question's been called. Please call the roll.
All right, Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Demora?
Yes.
Mr. Waddle?
Yes.
Chair Plummer Bailey?
Yes, variance granted. Elect. Thank you. 460 Stanley Avenue. Yes.
Yep, ready? 460 Stanley Avenue is located on the north side of Stanley Avenue, approximately 50 feet west of South Washington Avenue. The site is zoned R2F residential and is located within the Columbus Southside Area Commission. Subject site is built with a single unit dwelling with a detached garage in a residential neighborhood. The applicant proposes to raise and rebuild the garage, utilize the second story as a home gym studio. Therefore, requesting a variance to reduce the height of the garage from 15 feet to 25 feet. Both the Southside Plan and the Columbus Citywide Planning Policies state that the appropriateness of infill development should be measured in terms of height, width, and setback. Garages should be located behind the house and accessed from the rear where an alley is present. Staff notes that the surrounding area contains many examples of accessory dwelling units and alley-facing houses. Proposed garage is appropriate when compared to these structures in terms of height, width, and setback. Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Columbus Southside Area Commission recommends approval. City staff can recommend approval as the proposed garage is appropriate when compared to neighboring structures in terms of height, width, and setback. And we're only recommending in addition that the site plan and elevation be standard. That, turn it over to you.
Okay, sir, can you state your name for the record or whether or not you've been sworn?
My name is Michael Shevlo. Green's partner.
Have you been sworn in?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you been sworn in?
Yes.
And are you, owner of the home? Do you have the authority to bind the homeowner into agreements?
Yeah.
Okay. Does the city have a copy of the final site plan elevations that they can stamp?
Yeah.
Okay,
You should.
Yes, we do.
okay, just want to make sure they're final, you haven't made any tweaks to them.
Sorry, say it one more time.
I just wanted to make sure that what we have is final and you haven't made any tweaks.
No, it's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Anything else to add about this application?
Is there anything else to add? I still have a question.
Do we have any questions?
Nope.
Is there anyone here to speak about this application?
Well, question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Waddle?
Yes.
Mr. Demora?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Chair Plummer Bailey?
Yes, variance granted, thank you.
Thank you.
367 to 371 East Hudson Street. Fogarty's,
Jamie.
Sample.
Yes, please.
Have the both of you been sworn in? Are you planning on speaking or just sitting up there?
I may speak. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for you. You promise that the testimony you give tonight be the truth, nothing but the truth. Please say, I do.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is a reboot of a case that was heard about 3 months ago and back before the board last month for reconsideration. The initial, let me just go through the background quickly. The 14-acre site is developed with a vacant 3,100 square foot commercial building within the University District zoning overlay. The UDZO grants a 50% parking reduction to all non-residential uses. Surrounding the site is a single and two-unit dwellings in the R2 and R3 districts, in north and south. Two-unit dwellings in the C4 commercial district in the west.
That's up there at that. Turn it off. Just turn it off.
And commercial use within the C4 commercial district along Summit Street with the east. The initial application was a parking variance to reduce the minimum number of parking spaces from 41 to 0. The board turned down that request. And at last month's reconsideration, the applicant has augmented the plan now to provide 3 parking spaces. Therefore, the parking reduction is 2 spaces from 38 to now 3 on-site parking spaces. You will see in the email sent by Michael earlier, and then what I've handed out today, there are a number of supplemental letters of both support and opposition. All become part of the record, but we don't need to read them. Parking study was required by the Division of Parking Services in conjunction with this application. Division of Parking Services has reviewed the parking studies submitted for PZA 21-00555, and based on the current available parking in the area, Division of Parking Services support the approval of requested variance. Studies show that while certain streets face significant parking pressures and persistently high occupancies, there's overall sufficient parking capacity in the area to accommodate the future demand that this site may generate. The University Area Commission recommends approval of this application, as does city staff. City staff can recommend approval of converting the existing space into a nightclub, eating and drinking establishment with a patio. The applicant has mitigated the parking reduction with improvements to the bicycle facilities and through a shared parking agreement for 28 spaces on the nearby property, as recommended by the University District Plan and Planning Division. Additionally, the Division of Parking Services has reviewed the parking study and found overall sufficient parking capacity in the area to accommodate the site. We are recommending the following condition. The site shall be developed in general conformance with the stamped site plan. Any site adjustment shall be reviewed and may be approved by the Director of the Department of Building and Zoning Services or their designee. With that, Madam Chair, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, sir, can you state your name for the record, please?
John,
Oh, yes.
John Stevenson of Cooper Mental Ferguson Euros, running for the applicant.
Okay. Sir, you might as well get your name on the record too.
Sure, my name is Bobby Miller and I'm the applicant.
Okay. Okay, so add to what we need to know about this application.
Yeah, I think that Jamie did a great job of explaining. We were here 3 months ago and the request was for 41 parking space variance. We've reconfigured the site since that meeting, hearing some of the concerns that the community had at that meeting. So we supplied 3 parking spaces, one of which is ADA compliant. This overall reduced our parking burden because our patio was shrunk a little bit. So that's where we get to the total of 35. And as Jamie mentioned, there's several mitigating factors for that parking burden, including a lease agreement that allows us to have parking that is along Hudson, that's directly adjacent to the property, as well as the MOU with the local business that allows us to have additional parking. So effectively, we're underparked by about 9 spaces rather than 35. Also, as Jamie mentioned, they're providing double the required bike racks because we really think this is a pedestrian area and we think that there's going to be a lot of biking and foot traffic that comes to the area or comes to the business. And then just 2 other things I wanted to note for you guys. Another concern that was brought up at the meeting that we originally requested the 41 variance was that there was a large stage that was right next to the property owner to our southern border. So with the reconfiguration of the site, now that stage has shrunk quite a bit and it's buffered by the 3 faces we're providing. And there was also some questions about there's not a dumpster on site, so what we do to control the refuse. So since that meeting, we've entered into a shared trash agreement with a neighboring property owner so that we can use their dumpster. Want to add anything or question?
No, I mean, I think that pretty much covers it. I just, would sort of like to say on our behalf, I feel like we've gone through this process with the University Area Commission. We were in front of the zoning committee and the full commission. They were both on board. Seems like all the different factions of the city are on board. We've made the changes. We've been listening to our neighbors in good faith. We've made these changes. And we will continue to listen to our neighbors. Yeah, I mean, I think like you said, with the extra parking that's next door, we're really not talking about as many spaces. It's just not on the actual parcel. Also to keep in mind that there's a bus stop directly in front of our building on a main line. There's bike share and bike paths a half block from our building, and it's a dense walkable neighborhood. So I think most people will be walking or ride sharing to the business anyway.
So it's a nightclub?
It's actually a bar. I'm actually, the term nightclub has always rubbed me wrong, and I don't even know, maybe I thought that was just a thing you had to use that term, and that's why it's been deemed that, but it's more of a sort of, I see it more of like a community hub. During the day, it's gonna be a coffee shop use. We're sharing the space with a local coffee shop. And then it'll essentially transfer over to a bar use at night. We will have live music in the upstairs space. I would say on average, like 3 nights a week. And it'll be more focused on local acts. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
No food?
No food, but, in the neighborhood, there's food trucks that are nearby, so.
Yeah, I was just asking a nightclub. People don't really ride bikes to a nightclub and they don't get on the bus to a nightclub.
Yeah, this isn't really a nightclub.
Okay, thank you.
It's more of like a community space.
So do you have a copy of the garbage agreement with you?
Yeah, I provided it to staff.
I didn't see it in here, did I miss it?
I'm taking over this case from Michael, so it may be in your supplemental packet.
And you mentioned parking too on Hudson, some sort of accommodation there. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so can you put that on the aerial where they're talking about the parking next door? Is there a way to look at that?
And that, yeah, that I was gonna ask about the two augmented.
The lot that runs parallel to Hudson, it's directly across our alley. It's right there on the corner of Hudson and Summit.
Yep.
Yep, that's our lot as per our lease. So there's 15 spots there.
Got it.
And then the business directly across Summit to the right on that corner is called Evolved at the corner, that one right there.
Yes.
Behind that business, there's 13 spots that we have a memorandum of understanding to use after they close at night. So basically from like 8 PM on.
So that whole thing on Hudson Street, that empty area that I drive by that is always there, that's your lot?
It is.
Yeah, and we have right to use those spaces.
And that's in our lease, which you should have a copy of.
I thought that the first time you might have gotten another vote, because that's never made known to me at all. I mean, 9 spots is not different than 41.
Yeah.
And my other concern last time, admittedly, as I told you, when I voted to reconsider this with the whole parking, with the whole garbage thing, because several neighbors came and said there was no place to put garbage, and with not an agreement, I mean, bars make a lot of garbage.
Yeah, sure.
So, and I mean, I'm looking at this now
And the dumpster is right out, will be right outside of our patio entrance across the alley. In that parking lot that's sort of to the south of our parking lot. Does that make sense? Wait, it's like a little, just a little bit more up on the other side of that building. That you're at, yeah, right there. There's a dumpster right there, and that's the one that we will be sharing. And we've already discussed the idea that, depending on what kind of business we're doing, if we have to upgrade to a bigger dumpster or, have service come through more often, we're gonna pay the difference to do that. So.
Now, is there requirements for dumpster screenings, things like that?
Yes.
And that one currently does not have that, I would assume?
I don't know.
It doesn't look like it.
If it doesn't, I mean,
Is it there?
that's all,
Is that
managed by the division of refuse. But the zoning code does say that you have to have screening on 3 sides.
It's not positive, but I feel like there is a little fenced in thing. Besides, I actually don't hold me to that. Feel like in my mind's eye, I'm seeing it when I go there.
I guess the only thing I don't know if I can add that is that, if we consider this dumpster part of his facility, that it should be screened.
Well, it's under the property, so I don't think we can do that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might be, if they were cited for a code violation, that's the only way. Somebody else screening their dumpster for them.
Okay.
So I would like to note that we have several letters from community in our packets, and we've had several given to us supplemental. But are there others here today that would like to speak for or against this property?
Oh, come on.
We will hear, you all, like, I don't know if we were here at the beginning when I swore everybody in. Okay, so I'll swear this group in. Each have 3 minutes. We do like to hear from everybody in the community, but we don't like to hear repeats. We take our job pretty serious. We hear what you say, usually the first time. And if we don't understand it, we'll ask questions. So if you've heard your point mentioned by somebody else, you can simply just say, I'm reiterating the point, and you don't have to spend the full 3 minutes. So with that, if you plan on speaking, if you could stand, raise your
Madam
right.
Chair, what if I said that that everything they've done has changed my mind, and maybe the 10 or 12 people don't have to speak if the other 2 people have voted yes on this last
They
time?
still have the right to speak.
They still have the right to speak.
Okay, I stand.
But that's a fair statement. I'm sorry, Stan. Raise your right hand. You promise that the testimony gets tonight with the truth, nothing but the truth. Please say I do. I don't usually do this, but, Bill, you can say it, sorry. Bill, you make a good point. If these are supporters,
Madam Chair, I
these are
have a
supporters.
recommendation that if they're supporting, they just read their name in for the record and say, I support the project, and then sit down.
Yeah, it's fair.
Oh, we
Yeah,
we've got a
okay,
record of.
Yeah. I think Bill's comment is valid that he has been persuaded, I think, by the good work that you've done. I mean, I can see the work that you've done with this application from the last time it was shared. I did see someone's letter. I don't know if you saw this, Mr. Demore and Mr. Woodley. Someone specifically had rebuttals to your comments in their letters.
Yes, Dr. McNair.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, that was good. So yeah, very,
I think for Mr. Demore, that may have been good. For me, it was almost offensive, but sure.
no, but I guess I appreciated the personalized, individualized explanations of the support, which was different than what we had before. We felt like those were students at the bar signing up on the form. So yes, I would like to hear from who wants to come forward and speak into the record.
Hello,
Hello, state your name, please.
my name is Mary McDevitt.
Okay.
I am on the University Area Commission. I am also, a Glen Echo Drive resident, so my street is at the, it intersects with Hudson, and you can see lovebirds from my house. So I am absolutely in support of this project. I think the adaptive reuse is one of the few locations in the university district, where we're actually using the building again. And by the nature of how many parking spaces there are, you have to reduce. And I also think that it's a really green, efficient way when we unbundle parking and separate it from where from the building, then it allows you to kind of think about the building a little bit differently. Sohud Collective has been happening on the corner of Hudson and Summit every weekend this summer from Thursday to Sunday. And I feel that that's relevant because they've had a huge draw all day throughout the entire weekend. And being a Glen Echo resident, there has not been any change in the parking. I think that that's also representative to the clientele that Lovebirds has, because it's the same kind of people that are going to patronize Lovebirds. And while there were arguments as to people don't bike to the bar, I can assure you I've lived in Chicago for 5 years and I've lived in Columbus for 15. I would bike to the bar, or, you know, even better, walk across the street. I just prior to this meeting spoke to Dr. McNair. She lives on Summit, and then I talked to the Bernstein family. They also have observed the same thing. Dr. McNair did a parking study, obviously, just kind of personally counting how many spaces there are throughout the day. there's still a ton of spaces to park in our neighborhood. I've known the Bobby Miller since maybe 2004, so not only do I believe in him as an adaptable business owner, but I think we've all seen that. And I think that the adaptability that he's shown by reducing the parking spaces has been really phenomenal. So, you know, out of the University Area Commission, 78% before Bobby changed the parking or the parking spaces that were allowed, they voted 78% in favor of him. And out of the emails that came from the residents to the University Area District, I think there were 22 that were in favor and 6 that were not in favor. That was prior to Bobby adding the ADA parking space. I also am on the trash mob. And so, you know, over the past 2 years, my group has been actively cleaning up the Hudson area. In this vacant building, people have been pooping in front of it for the past 2 years. So having a business there that's responsible and cleans up would be really helpful.
So one question before you leave, since you're on the commission, I am curious as to, there seems to be a change in you all's perspective on parking. Because there was a point in time when there was opposition to any reduction in parking. And now it seems that you're more amenable to that. And I'm wondering, is it because you like the establishment that's going in, or is it some other reason that's driving that?
Well, I think, as we all know, there's a $50 million grant that was provided to Columbus based on parking and reuse of transportation. And I think our culture's changed quite a bit in the last few years. So one of the factors is Bobby has been on Facebook and has marketed it really well, and people know that the variance goes with the land. But it also is, you know, I think May 19th was the date that we actually voted in favor of the parking variance. So there's not been inconsistency there. The University Area District has voted the commission has voted consistently in favor of this.
No, I'm talking about
In general?
2 years ago, 3 years ago, a year ago, there was a consistent feel of we're overparked, we don't want any more density, it's too crowded already, we can't park.
I mean, I think that it's super interesting because maybe just a few days ago, the University Area Commission voted to allow a building on 7th to reduce their parking space, so they got rid of an apartment building. So they said something about the Wyland Park neighborhood, I believe. Their civic association has voted very strongly in favor of even further density in the neighborhood. Really surprised everyone because it's on a busy intersection, but it seemed like the University Area District did vote for that, so.
Maybe it's just a changing of the guard.
Yeah,
It's
and I think people are now more receptive to, we have the scooters everywhere, walking and biking paths. We now live on, you know, the Olentangy path in Wolf's Ridge is developing there. So I think there's a whole new receptiveness to being environmentally conscientious. And that kind of goes, also, who wants to drink and drive for going to the bar? You know, it's not really a safe idea.
Yeah, drink and bike instead.
Hopefully just have one drink, cut it off, and then bike, but, yeah.
Good. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Anyone
very
else? Come up, please.
We take an informal vote, say one.
Right, I
Oh,
mean,
wait, guys, just need-
but I thought it was just for them to say their name and
They're-
they
so If
support.
they want to speak, we gotta let them speak. Go ahead, state your name for the record, please.
CC Clark.
Go ahead.
I speak away from this establishment, position in the area. Stairs during the day. I walk by this place every day. I come into my store. Very excited for it to be a place that I can go and walk to, or that I feel comfortable or safe going to currently in the neighborhood. So I've been for a couple of months with personal, especially being a musician, you know, spa, the bar, that we're comfortable in, as well as it not being a coffee truck in the parking lot next door, and rather being a full establishment that the bar and the coffee shop can work out of is very exciting for me, and I'll look forward to it. So I just wanted to voice my support for this project.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come forward, please.
Yes, please sign your name.
State your name for the record, please.
Jeff Woolhouse.
Okay, go ahead.
So I am one of the owners of the Rambling House Music Bar that's right in the neighborhood, and so I just wanted to voice my support. I'll be brief, mindful, don't want to take a lot of your time. But I thought it might also be helpful to share my perspective of someone who's owning and operating an establishment that has some similar issues, in that I've seen that, number one, our clientele primarily walks from the surrounding neighborhood. It's a dense, walkable neighborhood. Most of the folks that come to our place live in the neighborhood. They're excited about Lovebirds and what Bobby's doing. We need more density and things to do. Several people, I won't repeat, but part of the, that block being deserted and people defecating on the sidewalk, that block is right now needs something, and love Bobby is proposing in terms of the cafe during the day and the people coming in during the night. And what I've found is that people tend to either walk or take ride shares these days, just safety of going out to a bar and then go home by ride share. So I just wanted to voice my support. If anyone has questions from my perspective as someone else who's a business owner in the area that really welcomes this, it feels like it's much needed to help give the neighborhood more kind of things to do and people walking and make people feel more safe and solidify the neighborhood. I feel like we're going in a good direction now, but really think this block could really use what the applicant is proposing. So would hope that you all would vote in favor.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else? Come up, please, ma'am. State your name for the record.
Paige Vandiver.
Okay.
How are you last name? Vandiver, it's like Van and Diver put together. So I live in the neighborhood. I'm also an owner occupant of a duplex there on Deming Avenue, which is about like 0.1 miles from Lovebirds. It's right behind Rainbow. And I just wanted to voice my support for this. Love what Bobby's been doing for this, and I've never had an issue parking. I've never had an issue with my tenants, never complained. There's never been, any friends that I have come over and parked directly in front of the place. So I really don't feel like this is gonna make it or break it for the parking around the neighborhood. Also work in the neighborhood, work at Rainbow House with Jeff actually. And, most of the people in there, like you said, I mean, when I go out to, a bar or anything, I take an Uber. Nobody wants to drink and drive. So it's either walkable, which is the whole entire reason I moved to that neighborhood, bought the duplex, wanted to be a part of that community in the first place, was the walkability of the neighborhood and the things around it and the potential for that to increase. So just wanted to show support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sir?
Hi, my name is John Reiber. I'm an owner resident. I live at 307 East Tompkins. I've been there for about 10 years now. And I just want to go on the record saying that I support this. Most of my neighbors support it, and we're real excited if you guys let Lovebirds come to the area.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I can, the reason I guess we're here for the third month, and actually we're back here this time, is because I voted no the first time. It was a 2-2 tie because, and I'll be honest, as I told the attorney last month when I actually voted to reconsider this, and had I not moved to reconsider it, we wouldn't be here tonight because I was the only person that voted in the opposition to vote to reconsider. This is a much better project than we had 3 months ago. I mean, there were no letters of support 3 months ago. There was no trash agreement 3 months ago. There was no knowledge of the lot next to this establishment being under the same lease as an establishment. And I just, like I said, under all the circumstances, I think any reasonable person would, especially someone who's concerned about parking and has been very consistent on this board about parking and the variances, I think this is a better project, certainly in my mind, than it was 3 months ago. I obviously think when I voted to reconsider, and I told the attorney on record that if there wasn't gonna be, if there was no changes, this was whitewashed, I was gonna vote no again. I think there are some potential changes. I said, the first time this was heard, it was very shoddily presented to us. I'm just gonna say that out loud, it was not, none of these factors that at least I consider, and I think one of my colleagues who also voted no on this, considered, none of these, we had no knowledge of any of these things. So I want to commend the owner and the attorney for actually, at least in my mind, you changed my mind. I very rarely change my mind, but, as I gave the attorney and you a chance, right, when I made the motion to reconsider it last month. And I'm happy I did so because like I said, this is a completely different project than I voted no on. And all of my concerns, at least, have been answered. And had this been the same application that we'd gotten 3 months ago, we wouldn't have to be here because I probably would have voted yes back then. So I just want to go on the record saying all that since, again, I guess I have this, the key vote and all this stuff that why was voted no and then why was reconsidered. And I just want to thank the attorney. It's the very time, very rarely to make an objection and their concerns are listened to. And I think every concern that I told the attorney last month when I voted to reconsider, moved to reconsider, has been addressed. And I just want to put that on the record.
I also want to say on the record too, that the board, we're not making a determination about what's good to go in the neighborhood. I don't want this to be lost on you, that we're convinced somehow that this is a good business or this is a great restaurant idea. That's not our role. If this was a establishment that none of you all liked, we're being asked to rule on parking. And so we are convinced that you've addressed the parking issues. You've convinced us that this is a walkable place to go. That's what the community does in this space. They ride share, they walk. You've addressed parking. We're not making a determination that Lovebirds is the thing that should be here. And I don't want that to get lost, because a lot of comments were about, thanking you for bringing this to the area. If there's no other comments, no other questions, I think we're ready to call the question.
Move to call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Demora?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverley?
Yes.
Sarah Palmer Bailey?
Yes. Mr. Brennan, good luck on the project.
Thank you.
5303 Trayview Road. Okay. Well, you're technically not the last one, so we'll see. Yeah. And they bailed. So who's next?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sir, can you turn off that mic so we don't get the, thank you, I'm sorry.
No problems.
5303 Trayview Road is located on the south side of Trayview Road, approximately 260 feet east of Hilliard Rome Road East, served by the far west side area division, zone limited manufacturing. 2.2 acre site is developed with a warehouse and associated parking lot, which is screened from Trayview Road by a line of coniferous trees on the north and west boundaries of the site. There is an existing 7-foot tall chain link fencing along the west, south, and east boundaries. Surrounding uses include vacant commercial land in the west, single unit dwellings to the north, warehouses to the north and east, and Ohio Cat, the industrial equipment supplier to the south. The applicant proposes to install a 7-foot tall fencing along the northern and part of the eastern boundaries of the site, to the east and west of the driveway. Variance is to reduce the minimum front setback from 50 feet to 18 feet for the northern portion of the new fencing that is mostly located inside the tree line. A portion of the fence will turn southward at the end of the tree line, and the applicant proposes to install new landscaping to screen that. The Trayview Roberts area plan states that chain link fencing is not appropriate for screening. Planning Division is supportive of the proposed fence between the tree lines along the northern boundary of the property without modification, as it will be minimally visible. The received site plan showing the revised fence line and additional landscaping. Planning Division is now in full support. Far West Side Area Commission recommended approval of the requests. City departments recommend approval, as the proposal is consistent with the area plan in that it hides the chain link fence within the existing tree line. And additional landscaping is included to screen the fence from view south. See this? Zoom in. Additional landscaping would be here. The following condition would ensure that the building setback variance only apply to the proposed fence. The condition that the applicant commit to the location of the fence and landscaping shown on the stamped site plan.
So the last part that you said would keep them from bringing their light manufacturing practice or production to the fence line.
Right, if it were just the building setback, they could put any structure up to that 18 feet, but we want to ensure that it applies only to a fence by stamping this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can you state your name for the record, please, and whether you've been sworn in?
Gerard Johnson, yes.
Okay. You said Jerry John, you said
Yeah, Gerard's mine.
Gerard, okay, got it.
Karen Christopherson.
Okay.
And I've been sworn in, yes.
Okay. Okay, you're agreeing that the fence and landscaping shown on the stamped site plan is final?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else to add?
No.
Okay, do we have questions for this applicant? Malika has some drawings over here.
No, I'm just trying to understand what's going on. good.
Okay, is there anybody here to speak about this application? No.
I'll call a question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Walderly,
Yes.
Mr. Malaka,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Demora,
Yes.
Chair Plummer Bailey.
Yes, variance is granted, good luck with the project.
I would just like to thank everyone I've dealt with. You guys have been great. Really, just really great.
Get here.
Nice to hear from the
Thanks
city.
so much.
They're never like us.
3890 Halsey Place.
So my applicant did email me and told me that she was parking several minutes ago, so we have.
Okay, we'll go on to 239 Chittenden.
I'm good.
Okay.
Great.
Yep.
Okay, 239 Chittenden Avenue is located on the south side of Chittenden Avenue, approximately 175 feet east of Summit Street. Site is on the C4 commercial and is within the University Area Commission. The 0.11 acre site is developed with a 1,037 square foot veterinary office within the University District zoning overlay. The UDZO grants a 50% parking reduction to all non-residential uses. Surrounding the site are 2 and multi-unit dwellings, as well as some offices in the C4 commercial and CPD commercial plan development districts. The applicant proposes to build a 566 square foot addition to the rear of the existing building. Variances are requested to reduce the minimum number of required parking spaces from 5 to 4, reduce the aisle width serving the parking spaces provided, and retain the existing gravel surface for the parking lot and circulation area. Planning supports the proposal, but has no comment on the surface of the parking lot, as the University District Plan does not address that matter. Plan recommends the preservation and rehabilitation of existing buildings in the University District, and states that parking variances should be reviewed with consideration of the presence of on-street parking. As the variance is minimal and the site is located in an area with on-street parking and near transit, planning supports the requested parking variance and has no comment on the parking lot surface, so the plan again does not address that matter. Department of Public Service supports the requested variance to reduce the minimum required number of parking spaces, as this request does not meet the criteria for a parking study to be required per the Department of Public Service parking variance review guidelines. University Area Commission and University Impact District Review Board both recommend approval of this request. Staff recommend approval of the proposed variances will not impact the surrounding neighborhood. Performs existing conditions on the site, and the Division of Traffic Management has no issues. We're not asking for any conditions, so we'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Please state your names for the record and whether or not you've been sworn in.
Stefan Zaheda, I have not been.
So can you turn on the mic? It's off.
Stefan Zaheda, I have not.
Shannon Cunningham, and I'm not.
Okay, raise your right hand. The testimony you give tonight, you promise it to be the truth, nothing but the truth. Please say I do. Go ahead and add to.
The only thing that I would really like to add to that is just a little bit of background on the event clinic. It has been an event clinic for about 51 years and has been, as it is as far as the gravel surface since that time. She maintains the gravel surface very well and is actually against doing some sort of a pavement for the health of the pets going in from the back when we do the addition. That's going to be the main entrance. And asphalt in the summertime, days like this, can actually burn pets. So the consideration of the use of the space, we're just trying to keep it.
And staff's really okay with that.
We didn't have any comments to the contrary. It's existing, not expanding.
Right, but this is an improvement, right? That's what
Right.
this is all about. So that's what resets the clock. So.
Right. If this was proposed, probably would be against it, but since it's conforming and non-conforming development standard, we have no issues. Not stating.
Yeah, so I'll tell you in advance, if these are called together, I'm a no, not that I'm not in support of what you're proposing, but I can't support continued gravel parking lot in the middle of the city of Columbus. This is not a rural section or anything like that.
It's mostly for staff, so.
It's still a gravel parking surface.
Is there a way to put the gravel somewhere isolated? Is that an option? Like, is it?
They want to keep it.
Can you go back to the aerial or that? And where's the gravel gonna be? Can you point to it? Jamie?
I think it's the entire rear lot.
Yeah, did you see the pictures of the existing? It's just gravel back there and they're keeping it. Look, Eleanor.
Oh, I see.
That's it.
Jason,
Oh, I see.
his properties are gravel right.
Yeah, but they're not here in front of us.
So if it's mainly for staff, it's not for animal health reasons then?
Well, they're gonna be entering from the back still. A lot of my clients actually walk because they're students. So I don't have like a significant number of parking clients, actually. They walk their dogs.
So the statement about pets walking on it was irrelevant.
Well, they would have to walk around to enter that way.
Here's the fence.
So the gravel then is the issue for the neighbor too. The neighbor's allowed to have
Yeah.
gravel.
But they're not here.
Well,
in
it's not
front of us.
allowed. If it's existing, not conforming, as long as it's not expanded, the city doesn't cite to.
But I guess I'm back to Mr. Jones' point. We're now expanding.
Well, they're not expanding the gravel, they're expanding the building, which triggers the need for the variance to clean. I mean, technically, they don't need this variance. I think they're asking for it just to make it compliant. I don't know if you're trying to finance it.
The variance is more for, it's actually, we did it for parking, I guess, because we're reducing the amount of parking.
Right, the expansion technically is for the parking, the reduction of parking, but I think they're just trying to clean it up to conform what's existing, not conform.
They clean it up.
So they don't need it? They don't need the variance?
I think if you vote it down, it's not going to stop them from being able to build an addition, other than the parking reduction and the aisles. The gravel itself,
Yeah, I guess I don't think I need to go against the Area Commission and the city on this. They both said approval, so.
Yeah, I stand alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine with it.
Okay, no one's here to say anything about this application, so I think we're ready to call the question.
Question.
Questions been called, just call the
So
roll.
turn it off your mic again, yeah, thank you.
when they talk, that thing goes off.
Mr. Jones?
No.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Mr. Odell, sorry.
Yes.
I'm tired, sorry.
I've been called.
Mr. Demore.
Yes.
Chairwoman Freeman.
Yes, Vanessa Brandy, the legislature next.
Thanks.
Okay,
And Madam Chair, I want to let the record show that it's
something,
10 till 7, and the applicant for number 14 BCA 21-0663890 Halsey Place is not here, and so I recommend that we,
did you find her? Like, did you?
Well, she said she doesn't know where to park. I mean, I've been emailing her. I told her the address of where to park, where to come over, that she needs to meet with security. She's having a toothache, she's in a lot of pain.
So she's been looking for us since 4:30?
She can get us.
Well, she thought the meeting was on Thursday, but she does know that it was on Tuesday. I told her multiple times.
Okay,
so what, do we
the
have to make a
meeting
motion or
is
something or what?
adjourned.
Well, you want to table this?
I'll move the table.
Oh,
Second.
call the roll.
If you got a tabling fee?
We're not allowed to wait.
I heard that, you said that.
But, so I guess that's my point. Are we creating a burden for her? Or does it just fail if she doesn't show back up? She won't have to pay the fee unless she comes in.
Right.
Okay. But so,
She got a zoning violation.
she'll be here.
Oh, yeah.
You want to call a vote?
Oh, call the vote.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Demore.
Yes.
Mr. Malika.
Yep.
Mr. Robert.
Yes.
Chairwoman Bailey.
Yes. Meeting adjourned.
Formally.
So I want to give
Thank
Taylor
you.
some.